Today we are going to learn about comparing fractions. When two fractions have the same denominator, it is very easy to tell which one is larger, as all you need to do is compare the numerators, as in the example on the board. 5/7 versus 6/7. The denominators here are the same. They are both 7. This means that 6/7 is larger than 5/7 simply because the numerator is larger. However, it is a little bit more difficult when fractions have different denominators. There are a few different methods for comparing fractions, and we will look at each of them in this lesson. Let's compare the two fractions here, 3/5 and 5/8. We first see that both fractions are in their simplest form, so we do not need to do any simplifying. The first method of comparing fractions is to simply convert them to decimals. You know that the fraction 3/5 is the same as 3 divided by 5. So using your calculator, you divide 3 by 5, and you will see that 3/5 in decimal form is equal to 0.6. You can do the same thing with 5/8. Divide 5 by 8, and you will see that that is equal to 0.625. This means that 5/8 is slightly larger than 3/5. Another method you can use is called finding the least common denominator, or LCD. Basically, this method involves converting the fractions so that they both have the same denominator. They are then very simple to compare. This method does not usually require the use of a calculator. To find the LCD, we must find the least common multiple of the denominators. In this case, our denominators are 5 and 8. Let's list out some multiples of 8 and 5. Now we need to locate the lowest number that is a multiple of both 5 and 8. And here we see that 40 is the first number we have in common between 5 and 8. Now we remember we need to keep our original fractions equivalent, so whatever we do to convert the denominator to 40, we must do the same to the numerator. So using the same example as above, I will rewrite it here, 3/5 and 5/8. So we have to multiply 3/5 by 8, and that will give us 24 over 40. We have to multiply 5/8 by 5, and that will give us 25 over 40. So now we have the same denominator. We just need to compare the numerators, and we see again that 5/8 is slightly larger than 3/5. Let's try another example involving mixed numbers. 2 and 2/5 versus 2 and 1/4. First, we will need to convert each mixed number into a fraction. So 2 2/5 becomes 12/5, and 2 1/4 becomes 9/4. Next, we have to find the least common denominator. The first multiple shared by our denominators of 4 and 5 is 20. We could write them out again, as we did below, with the 5 and 8, and we will see that 20 is the first number in common between 5 and 4. So we will need to multiply 12/5 by 4 over 4, and 9/4 by 5 over 5. This will give us 48 over 20, and on this side will give us 45 over 20. So of course the 48 over 20 is slightly larger than the 45 over 20, so 2 2/5 is slightly larger than 2 1/4. Let's try a final example. Write the following fractions in order from least to greatest. 1/2 versus 4/6 versus 3/7. First we see that 4/6 can be simplified to 2/3. Now we need to find the least common multiple of our denominators, which are now 2, 3, and 7. Let me just write out the new fractions here. So let's write out the multiples of the largest denominator here, which is 7. "42 is the first number that is divisible by 7, as well as by 2 and 3. So let's convert all of our fractions to have the same denominator of 42. So 1/2 has to be multiplied by 21 over 21 to get a denominator of 42. Two-thirds has to be multiplied by 14 over 14, and that gives us 28 over 42. Three-sevenths has to be multiplied by 6 over 6, and that leaves us with 18 over 42. So we have now converted all three of these fractions to have the same denominator. And now the question just asks us to compare and to put these fractions in order from least to greatest. So least will be 18 over 42, which is 3/7. That will be followed by 21 over 42, which is 1/2. And the largest one is 28 over 42, which was our 4/6. So this here is our final answer. We hope you found this lesson on comparing fractions to be helpful. Now you can try working on this topic on your own.